What's up, everybody? I'm Metal Nick,
I'm Jeff Grindstoffer.
and welcome to episode number 22 of Vinyl Bang, where today we will be talking about test pressings.
Yeah, this is like, I don't know, trying to do research for these test presses is like there's a lot of information that's not available. Like however many were pressed, and I feel very unorganized.
A couple of mine I have it written on the sleeve or on the vinyl itself, but yeah, there are a few, and we'll talk about it when we get to them that unfortunately do not have, I don't have any information on. So
No.
But yeah, do you want to start things off here?
Sure. Yeah, I'll start off. All right. So I am going to start off with a local band out of St. Louis. Some friends of mine from throughout the years. Their latest album, Bathhouse, was released in 2022. This is a test pressing for The Lion's Daughter, the new album, their latest album, Bathhouse, which, as I said, was released in 2022. They were selling these test presses on Bandcamp Friday a year or so ago. I don't even remember when it was. And this is one of those pressings that I have no information for. I have no idea how many copies are available, how many were made. But yeah, whenever they were selling them pre-autographed, because I'm generally not a fan of pre-autographed items, anything, posters, CDs, fire hydrants, whatever it is. I just do not care for pre-autographed things, but it was the only way to get a test pressing for the new album, which is amazing. And I, of course, have been a big supporter of The Lion's Daughter throughout the years and wanted to have another test pressing for the collection. So love this band, love these guys, phenomenal band, great album. Very happy to have a test pressing from The Lion's Daughter. And I'm pretty sure they did a covers EP a couple years back where they covered Judas Priest, Nirvana, and they also have test press of that too. I just haven't grabbed it because I'm lame, I guess. I don't know. But
And to set the record straight, pre-autographed fire hydrants are the only way to go, Jeff.
Indeed. Yeah. All
right. So my first contribution to this episode, I don't know where I'll start with this one. So it's the band Baroness. This is the Golden Gray album test press. This one's autographed by the entire band. I don't know if it's, yeah, I don't think these are numbered. I think it's out of 25 maybe. I can't remember. But yeah, I got that when the pre-orders for that album went on sale. And I also have a test press of the album First, their first thing that Baroness ever did. The first pressing of First. Pressed on Erica Pressings. Erica Recordings. Yeah. Baroness, great band. I scored this from man, what is the label? Is it Hyperrealist? Yeah, Hyperrealist, who did a unique pressing of the Red album. Maybe I'll share that in a later episode that I have. It's got like patterns around the edge of it. So when it spins, it makes like, cool little animation there. But
oh yeah.
The guy who runs the label, he was in a Baroness, or maybe he was in a Mastodon group where I met this guy. I don't remember, but yeah, he sold me a copy of First on test press. I was really trying to score Second, but he couldn't find it. I was actually also trying to score a test pressing of Red, the one that he did, the Hyper Realist pressing with that stuff on the spine. But I got the very first thing in Golden Gray on test press from Baroness.
Very cool.
At some point, stuff like that is kind of pricey, and I had to put a halt on hunting down stuff like that. But I had a good friend who I knew, who introduced me to a lot of people who had a huge Mastodon test press collection, and amongst other bands. But he was helping me get my hands on a lot of stuff, especially Baroness at that time. So that's how I scored that first test pressing.
Right on, right on. No, the autographs. I noticed there's only 3. Did you get that autographed by the band? Like, it wasn't one of those pre-order things where they came.
There's 4 on here.
Oh, there is 4. Okay, I didn't see the bottom. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, it came that way. I think
Gotcha.
our pal Frank Huang told me that it was he was there. He filmed it. I'm doing that. So
of course he did.
Shout out to Frank. Yeah.
Shout out to Frank. Filming everything.
Yeah.
That guy.
Hell yeah, he does. Hell yeah. All right. What you got?
All right. So up next is a test press that I didn't have to really do any research for because it is numbered. So lucky for me. This the next album I'm going to feature is what I like to consider this a Fantomas record, just because it's all Mike Patton. Patton did all the music for this, which is what Fantomas was. Fantomas was all Patton. That just had Buzz and Trevor and Dave Lombardo come in and just play the music that Patton wrote. This is the Crank 2 soundtrack, high voltage, original motion picture soundtrack, music composed and performed by Mike Patton. This test press is number 6 of 24. 24 test presses made. This was part of this was done by Enjoy the Ride Records in 2017. The test press was available in a bundle deal with, I believe there were 3 other pressings available at the time. And of course, they're all up there. I own every, I always hate doing that, pointing in real life and pointing at the camera. Every pressing of this I own because, huge Patton enthusiast, and the movie's fun. The movie is it's a great movie. I like the second movie a lot more than the first one. And it might be because Patton did the soundtrack. It might be because Maynard James Keenan makes a cameo appearance in the movie. It could be any number of things. But yeah, this was a very cool test press to own. These sold out relatively quick. This is a double LP. Both, it's got two discs in the test press. Yeah, this soundtrack is a lot of fun. There's a lot of songs in here that are very reminiscent of the Fantomas collection, their discography, and I've always considered this to be like a instead of just being a soundtrack, also being a Fantomas record, because it's just so good, so fun. Crank 2. Actually, I watched this the other day. It's on Max.
Oh yeah.
And I was going through trying to find something to watch. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch Crank 2. Like, that's such a good movie. You ever seen it?
Is this the one with Amy Smart?
Yes.
Where he's like banging her and just to get his heart rate up.
Yeah. Yeah, right before that scene is where Maynard makes his cameo appearance.
I think I saw it on like FX once or something. Like, I had the TV on and it was on while I was doing something else. Mm-hmm. But I looked up at that scene and I'm like, interesting.
That's fun family entertainment at the racetrack.
Yeah.
See some intercourse going on. It's fun.
And not from the animals. Yeah. All right. Next thing I got here is well, it's only written in the label here, but it's an album by a band called Burnt by the Sun. It's a soundtrack to the Personal Revolution. You can see right there, there's some writing on the center label. This came out in the year 2002. There are 20 of these. I have one of them. This is probably my favorite album by this band. A couple years ago, it was last year, I was chit-chatting with Dave Whitty, telling him how difficult it is to find Burnt by the Sun stuff, and he told me he's got a lot of stuff. And yeah, I was able to score some things from him. Not this. This I believe I got from Relapse directly, but this is a great album. It's a I don't know what kind of music you want to describe them as. It's not death metal. It's not hardcore, but nah, it's awesome. They're a really cool band. Kind of a underrated band, if I have to say, as far as Relapse bands. But yeah, it's one of my personal favorites to have in my collection because this was a really cool record that I thoroughly enjoy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as far as being underrated, it's like not even like a Relapse band. I mean, just in general, that band was very overlooked and very underrated and did not get the appreciation they deserve at all. The Burn by the Sun was a great project.
Mm-hmm. They always had very silly song titles. I don't have my my actual copy over here. I'd read some of them to you. There's like Dow Jones and the Temple of Doom, Boston Teabag Party. There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. But, and credit where credit's due. Shout out to Dave Whitty, since we're trying to get Dave on the show.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Yeah, I talked about it with him. He said he would be down. So cool, man. What you got?
Right. So up next, I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. The fact that Nick and I are both wearing cattle decapitation shirts was not planned. I am doing laundry today, so that's why I'm wearing a cattle decapitation shirt. I don't know why Nick is. I don't know. The next band I am going to talk about is Cattle Decapitation. I have an original press of To Serve Man from 2002 test pressing of Cattle Decapitation, To Serve Man. I am very proud of this. I am very proud of this test pressing. I'm proud of all of them. I really love the fact that I have such rare copies of these records, but this one in particular, I love having an original OG press of a Cattle Decapitation record. This was one of the ones that I have no idea how many were made, how many exist. I have no clue, but I own one. So, and to follow up To Serve Man, I also, from 2004, the 2004 album from Cattle Decapitation, Humanure, which this is labeled as the first LP and, of course, the second LP. That is because Humanure was originally pressed in 2004 as a double disc, and this was pressed by Deep Six. You can see by the customer, I don't know if it's going to be clear enough to read that or not, but this is a Deep Six pressing.
Shout out to Bob.
Yeah, shout out to Bob. Bob Deep Six. This was pressed on July 15th of 2024, or 2024. But yeah, Humanure is it's arguably my favorite Cattle Decapitation record. This was the one that got me into the band initially back in I guess it was 2004, when I would go to record stores and pick up albums on CD just based on the album art. And I saw the cover of Humanure, which, if you know what it is, it's a cow shitting human skulls in a pile of feces and human skulls, and it was just like I have to hear whatever this band is, and it'll always hold a very special place in my heart. Humanure, it's a great album. I love every track on it, even the opening, the ending, all of it. It is a very special album to me, and to have the original test press is awesome. I absolutely love the fact that I own Humanure on test press.
That's the album where I discovered them, I believe. Where I remember there was a lot of hype around them. I kept reading about them in magazines, but maybe I saw To Serve Man when I was working at Tower Records. I think I saw that CD cover a lot, and it's just kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, the shirt, the Grindspur production shirt that I did a couple years ago that you're wearing in the episode, where I'm like holding my guts out, that was taken from, that was like to pay homage to that album cover. That was my To Serve Man kind of
Or you could have paid homage to Humanure and had something shitting you out.
I could have. That would have been better. And again, to name drop band members and to try to get them on the show. Shout out to Travis Ryan, who I spoke with in person a few weeks back and said that he was interested in doing the show. So,
how many times have you heard that? No.
Oh, we'll do it. We'll do it. I can be very annoying with my persistence. And I have his phone number, so I'm gonna call him. All right, moving on.
So, all right, I got a couple here from this artist. The first one is by one of my most collected bands, is Weekend Nachos. The first one I'm going to show you is Bleed. This came out in 2010 on Relapse Records. This was the only thing that Relapse pressed by Weekend Nachos when they were on Relapse. They only did CDs. All their vinyl was through Deep Six. But in 2010, they put out an EP called Bleed. It's 2 Doom songs. There are 10 of these. I have one of them.
Very cool.
Whoa. Don't drop the goods. And then I have a test press of this album called Two Things at Once, which is Bleed and I believe Tortured. It's the Bleed EP and something else. I can't remember what. But if you can see that cover, it's got the Fat Boys and Freddy Krueger.
Oh, nice.
You should have buried me. But yeah, because I believe the Fat Boys did a song for one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I don't know what the pressing info is at. That was on like Cowabunga Records. I shared this one in another episode. This is the Watch You Suffer test press from A389. Excuse me. It's autographed by the bands. Also Friday the 13th theme. Like up there, you can see John with Robert Englund. Let's see here. This came out in 2012 and it is number 15 of 16.
Very nice.
Yeah. There's 16 of those. And then I don't think I've ever shared this one on the show. This is the Bleed test press. And I think that's Byron right there, their drummer. Smelling a flower. Yeah. And 16 of 16 test press. And it's on, I don't know, you can see it, but it's like clear smoke vinyl. So, yeah.
Very cool.
A couple of my test presses from Weekend Nachos. I wish I had way more. I've seen pictures of like other like Unforgiven test press, and my mind was kind of blown away by that. And I've tried to reach out to Bob from Deep Six about stuff like that, but you know, unless you're a friend or a member of the band, that's who those go to. So
right.
Maybe
that's how that goes. I mean, just because they're so rare and you know, like if a band only does like 10 copies and the band has 4 members, then, you know, 4 members probably get 4 of the 10 and, you know, but.
For sure. But yeah, maybe I'll talk to some of them this weekend about getting, if any of them want to part ways with their vinyl.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Man, I really wish I was going out to Death Fest this year. I really wish I was able to make it because I really want to see Weekend Nachos.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes bands are like, yeah, I have no attachment to this anymore. You can, how much do you want? You know, you'd be surprised. I'll talk about it later in this episode because I have a record that before it was, you know, well, we'll get there. But anywho.
Anyway, moving on. Another huge band for me and another one of my major accomplishments was getting these 2 albums on test press. I'm going to start off with, I'll just go ahead and do the cover since it came with a cover. Pig Destroyer, Phantom Limb. This is an original test press. There were 10 of these pressed. So again, I got lucky with the information on this one. yeah, this is, I believe this was remastered a couple years back. I can't remember, but this is an OG press from, when did this album come out? 2007. 2007. This is an original 2007 test press. My favorite album from Pig Destroyer, the debut album to feature Blake Harrison on the noise, samples, and all that. Very stoked to have this on vinyl. I got this a couple years back. Not going to say where I got it from or who I got it from, but yeah, very excited to have this. And another album from Pig Destroyer that I have, released in 2012, Book Burner. I have Book Burner on test press. The pressing for this looks like, oh yeah, because the second disc was an etching. Like I was looking at the back of this thing, I was like, oh shit, this thing is etched. Yeah, there's the test press etching, which I don't even remember what this was supposed to be. Do you remember, Nick?
Looks like a devil or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to.
Goat, maybe.
Maybe. But yeah.
Can't remember
What this was supposed to be. But yeah, got this. I believe I have every copy of this on regular vinyl that's available to the public or whatever. But yeah, very excited to have this. This was the first album to feature Adam Jarvis, AJ, on drums.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely up there in my favorite albums from Pig Destroyer. It's a solid album, phenomenal album from beginning to end, as they all are. They're all great albums. Love those guys in Pig Destroyer. But yeah. And again, I don't know how many copies. No, sorry. There were 20 of these pressed. So there were 20 in existence, and 19 of them are out floating around somewhere else, because I got one.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Very excited for that.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Great
Good old Piggy D.
Love them.
Love them. All right. This next one I got, one of my personal favorite test presses that I have in my collection, because this is something that I went out of my way to get signed by not one but two bands. You know, I don't remember what year this came out. This was the Toxic Holocaust, or the Toxic Waste split between Municipal Waste and Toxic Holocaust. And I remember I have oh, here we go. Number 24 of 30. It's got the Tank Crime stamp there, but everything signed in black is from Municipal Waste. Everything in green is Toxic Holocaust. See those Joel right there. But yeah, I went out of my way to get these guys to sign. Especially, it was a little weird to get me to have Municipal Waste signed shit, because I was pretty tight with these guys at this point, and I think they were kind of like, really. But this is a cool, very rare item that I have, and it's a cool split between two cool bands, two great thrash bands, basically, that have kind of similar logos, I guess. But I've seen these guys tour a few times with each other, and yeah, both are fun bands. I'm more of a Municipal Waste fan, but Toxic Holocaust fucking kills it. They're great live. But yeah, this is one of my personal favorite items, because, like I said, I actually got them all to sign this in person. This wasn't buy it signed or anything like that. So if anybody else has this test press, it's signed by, I don't know how many of them are signed by both bands, but this might be a one of one. So yeah,
Extra rare. That's very cool.
Yeah, unlike that Baroness one, but there was video footage of them signing those records. That one, you know, which I didn't mind buying. I just, you know, but that one right there, you know, I bought the test press direct from Tank Crimes, and then like I said, I brought that with me to a show one night, and you know, made a fool out of myself asking these dudes to sign something, but they did it.
Yeah, but see, that's my thing about not getting anything pre-autographed, because like there's no story behind it. You know, if somebody sees it and goes, "Oh, that's cool," you know, did you meet these guys? Like, no, I bought it that way. But your story about taking it to the show and, you know, making a fool of yourself, and, you know, you being friends with the band, and they were like, really? You know, that's a story, you know, to go along with that. So that's
Not
why I
everybody was
always
moved to
prefer.
sign it. I'll say that, but there's just, you know, I'm not going to say who's who, but the Toxic Holocaust guys were down. They were. It just because I'm like, you know, like I said, the Municipal Waste guys. I've known. I'm not like tight with them, but I've known these guys for a long time. They'll absolutely know who I am, and it was just kind of like, you know, I did that once with Intronaut. I got them all to sign this record, and then some dude who I kind of know because of them got on the band. He's like, "Isn't it weird watching people ask them to sign shit?" And I was like, "Man, he must not have been here 5 minutes ago." And I just had them sign like every record I have. So made me feel stupid, but yeah, whatever. I'm a fanboy. That's fine. It's good to have this stuff in your collection, because one day when I'm gone, somebody will be like, "Oh shit, look at all this shit signed." So
Right.
Might add more value to it.
Absolutely.
All right.
So my next album for the test press episode number 22 of Vinyl Bang, is a test press that I can proudly say that I own every copy of this album. A lot of albums, I'll say, you know, if I have the pressings that are available to the public, I have every pressing of this album. But this album that will be revealed in a second, I literally have every copy, the originals from 2000. Didn't write down the year, from 2010, I believe, is 10 or 11. I had to have been 10 or 11. The original pressings from Relapse, and then whenever they were remastered by Jason Netherton's Anarchros, I really hope I pronounced that correctly. The remasters from a couple of years ago. Misery Index, Heirs to Thievery, test press. Love this album. I absolutely love this album. This might be my favorite Index album. A couple weeks back, whenever Nick and I and my wife were having lunch with AJ, we were spending the day with Adam Jarvis in Baltimore, going to record stores and spending the day with him. We were talking about the upcoming shows that they're playing and the tours and whatever. And I asked him specifically if they were going to play a song from this album, and he said yes, for the first time in ever. I think I forget. I think it was the first time they've ever played it live, and because of the strength of them playing one of these songs, I'm not going to give it away, you know, just in case anybody wants to be surprised at their set list. I don't want to ruin the surprise for anybody. But one of the songs from this album is being performed live for the very first time whenever they play out this year. So you're welcome. I'm excited. And I love this band. Love Misery Index. Love the album. This is probably one of those I would like to get this autographed. I'd like to get all of these autographed. But majority of the bands, like, you know, I text the band members, like, you know, we're friends, and just to say, hey, would you sign this for me, is just weird. You know, it would be kind of strange for me to take like a Pig Destroyer or Test Press and say, hey, could you guys sign this for me? But it would definitely be one that I would like to have on display in my house for everybody to see, because I am proud of this one. Say that I actually own every copy of Heirs to Thievery. Phenomenal album.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, great band. Yeah. I'm excited to hear them play that song live too, because I've been nagging them for years, but it's not a song that any of them wrote, so they got to get some tabs from somebody. But yeah. Anywho,
whatever it takes, as long as they play it, that's all I want.
Yeah. I agree. All right. My next contribution here is by a band from Brooklyn, New York, called Candiria. This is the Beyond Reasonable Doubt first pressing, because I believe This is from Rising Pulse Records, by the way. I don't know who just recently repressed it. I think like Revolver Magazine was like selling them or something. I don't know. But this is a really cool one because there are 5 of them. And if you see in the center label, it is number 5 of 5. And down here, it is signed by guitarist John LaMacchia.
Nice.
5 of 5. Yeah. They sold these on their website years ago after the original the first pressings went for sale. And damn, I don't have any impressing information right now of any of this stuff, but so I did not do much research for this episode. But beyond reasonable doubt, this is a cool album. And then I think 2002 they re-recorded it, and it was called the Coma Imprint. And you know, the recording quality definitely sounded a lot better. But this is a very legendary album by a band that I think is very underrated and extremely awesome. Candiria is an amazing band. They've got probably one of the most insane drummers in the world, or used to. His name is Ken Schock, and he played on this album and quite a few of their discography he played on. But yeah, this is a really neat one that I was happy to buy. I don't think it was only like $60 off their website, but yeah, it's signed in pencil by the guitarist, number 5 of 5. Pretty cool piece of memorabilia to have there in my collection. Like I said, they just recently started putting out vinyl. They had a 7-inch back in like the 90s, but I think that was around the time where records were dying out. And then when the fad started to come back, everybody wanted to get in on it, and I'm happy they did, because like I said, I have 2 very cool albums by them, and I think that's have that test press. I wish I got a test press of Process of Self-Development, but I missed the selling of those. Somehow they happened, and wasn't lucky enough.
Hate that. But it happens. It happens. Can't be on the internet all the time.
That's true. I think with that, somebody had hit me up and they were like, "Hey, dude, go to their web store." And I went to it and found that, and I was like, "Oh my god!" So hopped on it pretty quickly, and then I went back to check, and it was sold out. So maybe I was 5 of 5 there. Yeah,
maybe.
Anyways,
all right. And we're going through this pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did so many.
All the research that we've done on this episode.
Right. Okay, here's this. Look at this one. Okay, so speaking of moving on and going through albums and all that, whatever. Mastodon, Remission from 2002. This is an original 2002. I really need to get a better camera. An original 2002 pressing of Remission. This was bought by a seller on Discogs a year or so ago, I believe. It wasn't that long ago. This also has an original sticker, a promotional sticker from 2002, which will never be stuck on anything. It will stay in this package. It will stay in the jacket along with the two discs. It is A, B, C, and D. Two double pressing, double LP. I don't even know where to begin with Remission. I mean, it's just such a good record. This was the album that got me into, whenever I first saw Mastodon, it was late 2001 or early 2002. They were on tour with Dysrhythmia and Clutch. And I believe it might have been Dysrhythmia open and then Mastodon and then Clutch. But whenever I saw them play, there was like 10 people there. It was phenomenal. It was just, and had I have known then what I know now about how big of a band Mastodon is now, really would have, cherished in the moment a lot more, knowing that, I was seeing them whenever they were starting out. And now they're selling out stadiums and shit. So, but yeah, phenomenal record. I do not know how many, no, I'm sorry. There's an unconfirmed number of 50. 50 were supposedly pressed by Relapse in 2002, and Discogs says that this information is unconfirmed. So I think around the time the pressings that they were doing, I think that there were 50 of the majority of the test presses they were doing back then. So 50 sounds like a good guess. But there were 50 pressings of that on test press. Great album. Great album.
Really good album, yeah. And it's very funny. Kick myself out of there. It's very funny that you bring up that album because the next album that I'm going to talk about is Mastodon's follow-up album, Leviathan, that I happen to have a first test press of on vinyl as well. Look,
very nice.
There's a gentleman that I met years ago in the Mastodon group on Facebook, and he was very he runs a blog that gives you like all the run out codes for all the test presses, for all the pressings, every pressing possible for every Mastodon album. It's hard to see it. There is something written there on the etched there in the spine. I know one side it says split your lungs for blood and thunder. This one says taken down with hearts alive. So this would be side B. This other side it says split your lungs for blood and thunder. First press of the test press of the first press of quite possibly Mastodon's most popular album. They're about to be on tour shortly here with Lamb of God. Lamb of God's going to be doing Ashes of the Wake, and then Mastodon's going to be doing Leviathan in its entirety. Let's go here. Blood and Thunder featuring Neil of Clutch. Excuse me. Sea Beast, Iron Tusk, Megalodon, Naked Burn, Aqua Dementia. I think that's the one with Scott Kelly. I Am Ahab, Island, Hearts Alive, and Joseph Merrick. Now, this is a different track listing than the CD, just so they could fit it all on one record. It's weird to me like that, but this is a cool record. This might be my favorite Mastodon album. I know that they've got some really cool recordings and albums after this, but get that back in there. This was a really cool one that I scored from a seller on Discogs as well. And I also have a 7-inch test press of Crystal Skull. This came out in 2006, and there are only 6 of these. This was sold to me by a friend in a group that in that Mastodon group. And the only reason he sold me his because he had another one that was signed by the entire band, which, I didn't want to steal his idea, but maybe if I ever meet them, I do want that test press and my clear vinyl of Leviathan signed. But yeah. Mastodon is one hell of a band. They put out some really great fucking metal albums in the 2000s.
Agreed. And these 2 albums in particular, Remission and Leviathan, fuck.
I'm happy we both own test presses of the first pressing because those those are essential albums to own. I have to say, like start to finish, both of those records, they're just great fucking records. Great music, everything about them. I can't say anything negative about Mastodon. They're great, man. All of them have been very, very nice to me over the years, especially Braun, who kind of had a hand in calling me Metal Nick back in the day. But great fucking band.
Yeah, I love that story. I love whenever you tell me that story about Braun calling you Metal Nick. That's
it's all. Shout out to Jimmy Rhodes. That's all on him. So, but yeah,
right on. All right, moving on. I'm gonna do a feature from another local band that I've mentioned a couple times throughout the show and in various episodes. Excuse me. This album was originally released on CD in 2013. It was not pressed on vinyl until 2016. Whenever the album was initially released, I bought every copy on vinyl, every copy they had on vinyl. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago, whenever they made the test presses available, I believe it was through another Bandcamp Friday. I want to say around the pandemic, maybe after the pandemic. There were 20 test presses available, and I own Pfister's Gemini on test press. Pfister is a band out of St. Louis who are friends of mine. I've done some work with them throughout the years. I've filmed them. I can't begin to tell you how many times. As I mentioned in one of the earlier episodes, they have a live cassette called Good Friday that features my audio. It was from a show that I had filmed from them back in, I forget what year it was. It might have been 13 or 14. But yeah, there were 20 of these done by Encapsulated Studios in St. Louis. The screen printed cover actually folds out to reveal a full image with a little left to work with or whatever. But yeah, very excited to have this. Whenever I told the band that I had a copy of it, Kirk, their drummer, had informed me that he did not own one, and Kirk never wanted to talk to me again. He was happy that I owned it. He said, "I don't even own one of those," and I said, "Oh, that's awkward. Have you lost weight? Have you gotten a haircut?" And Kirk's bald, so that's went over real well. But yeah, love this band. This album in particular, it might be my favorite Pfister record. It gets a lot more play than the other, and I love Pfister. I do. I'm a big fan of the band, but just Gemini, the way it opens up, the way the album ends is just phenomenal. Easily their best album in my opinion. But yeah, very excited to own this on test press.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And CD and everything else, every other variant they have. I think there's like 2 things. There's a cassette that they did a split with a band from, I'm not even going to pretend to remember where the band was from, but there are 2 pieces of audio that I do not own from Pfister, but that's it. I own everything that this band's ever put out. So.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And we ate at Kenny's restaurant.
They're that's what we love about the test presses. They're the rarest of the pressings. So to own something that somebody in the band doesn't own, that's great. I've had members of Weekend Nachos tell me, "You have stuff that I don't own." I'm like, good job, Nick.
Right. Pretty cool feeling.
Yeah. All right. So my next one that I'm going to share, another one of the bands that it's a big deal to me. It's the band Portal. These unfortunately aren't OG test presses, but they're test presses. They're rare enough, This first one is of the album Outtree. You can see that's number 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this was a Hell's Headbanger release, so I snagged that. The next one is of Sepia, and here we are. Here's the info I'm looking for. This is out of 10, and I have number 10.
Nice.
10 of 10. How about that? Getting lucky on the internet, scoring the last copy possible of everything I can find. And then the last one, this is the album when I first discovered them. This is an album called Swarth. I want to say 2007, 2008, this album originally came out. This is a repress from Hell's Headbangers. Out of 10, I have number 6.
Very cool.
Yeah. I think I've expressed my love for this band on the show. It's the cover. I think they're a very unique band. I've never heard anybody that sounds like them, and whether it's a repress or not, to own a test press of anything by this band is pretty cool to me. I think when I was originally trying to score like OG cut pressings of like their earlier stuff, like Outtree and especially Outtree, that they were like, it's way expensive, and I have to believe that it was only pressed in Australia, the OG pressings, but sometimes you get lucky at music festivals like Death Fest, and people have stuff that they've hauled over here from there or bought from there. So,
Right.
But like I said, as a fan, buying stuff like that online and getting or at least when there's represses and then you see there's a test press, why the fuck not? It's a rare item to own in your collection. We just talked about this, and especially when it's numbered, that's pretty cool. So
absolutely, and the lower number, the number, the better.
Yeah, we all can't get 3 all the time.
All right. Speaking of number 3, which is me. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that. My next band, I'm going to do.
Number 3.
Oh, here we go. There are 3 albums that I'm going to feature for this next band.
Here we go.
Segue,
buddy.
All right. So the next band I'm going to feature is Agoraphobic Nosebleed.
Shit.
Yeah, shit. Yeah, indeed, Nick. Shit. So I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. Speaking of band members that we want to get on the show and band members that are doing stuff affiliated with Vital Bang, I want to say shout out to Scott Hall.
Scott Hall, what up, my dude?
What up, Scott Hall? Scott is doing some stuff for us that we are going to reveal maybe now, maybe in this episode, maybe in the last episode. Who knows? Who knows when the shit's going to air, when it's all going to come to fruition, but Scott is doing some cool stuff for us. Very excited for Scott Hall.
Very excited about this. Thank you very much, Mr. Scott Hall.
Very, very excited about this. All right. So my first Agoraphobic test press is a 10-inch test press for Altered States of America. Very cool to have. It is the first test press. Now it says 3-inch. Did they release this on a 3-inch disc?
No.
Because it says
the OG originally came out on 10-inch. I don't know why it says 3-inch.
But the 3-inch, like I didn't know if they did.
That was like
3-inch CDs.
There was like a mini disc that came out on originally. It didn't have it was like a 3-inch CD. I remember that. I had that.
Maybe that's what it was. They took the audio from a 3-inch CD. Maybe.
No way. That got when that was originally came out. That was originally pressed on a 10-inch. So what you got there is what you got. Because then after that, every time it was repressed, it was on a 12-inch. I believe I have the green and you have the white, or maybe vice versa.
Something like that.
Yeah, but that's awesome. I think I was with you when you bought that at Sit and Spin.
Yeah.
That awesome store. Shout out to Sit and Spin.
Shout out to Sit and Spin. Now I've only been there the one time, but
that was that was one of the coolest record stores I've ever stepped foot in.
Yeah,
so anybody from that show was watching, just know we are big fans of your record store.
Yes.
You're in the city of Philadelphia, go to Sit and Spin.
Go to Sit and Spin. Absolutely, a great store. I bought many things from them over the years online, but to be in the shop was pretty rad.
Yep.
All right. So up next from Agoraphobic Nosebleed, in 2013, Pig Destroyer played a weekend of shows. Excuse me. They played a weekend of shows starting in St. Louis, and then the next night they played in Chicago. My wife and I picked up the band. The band flew into St. Louis. My wife and I picked up the band in 2 separate cars. That way we'd be able to tote everybody around. We picked up Pig Destroyer from the airport, and I had talked to Scott for a week or two before this came to fruition, and he asked me what I wanted for compensation or whatever. He said he was going to pay me, and I said, I don't want your money. I don't know. I just the privilege of getting you from the airport and being your chauffeur for the weekend and being able to spend the weekend with Pig Destroyer is good enough for me. And Scott took it upon himself to bring me records as gifts, as thank you for helping the band out that weekend. And he brought me, I don't even know how many. He brought me a lot of records, and a lot of them were very rare. and I'm very thankful for these. We'll get into two of the two test presses that he brought me. The first one is in a standard Erica Records sleeve that has no information written on it or whatever. But this turns out is a 45 of the split that Agoraphobic Nosebleed did with the band Halo. So pretty cool to have this. This is one of the few 45s that I own, but very cool to own this on a test press of this, given to me by Scott Hall. The second one, whenever I got this, I believe we made the transaction outside of the venue in St. Louis, outside of the now defunct Foo Bar. He gave me a pile of records, just a stack of records. And whenever I came across this one, I took my hoodie or my wife's hoodie and I wrapped it up and I told my Melanie, I said, put this in the car now. Don't let anybody see this. Like, this is, holy shit, I can't believe he gave me this thing. This has been a frame ever since I got home. This is a test press of the Agoraphobic Nosebleed Converge split, the Poacher Diaries. Holy shit. I love this split. This has been, I believe this was my introduction to Agoraphobic Nosebleed back whenever this came out in 98 or 99, I think. But yeah, this has been a coveted thing that I never, ever would have ever expected to be given. But yeah, it's been in a frame ever since I got home with it. It's a Hydra Head Records release. I don't know if you're not going to be able to tell this, but the number is, it says HH666-46. I don't know if that's the catalog number or whatever that is, but just to have that 666 on the Poacher Diaries test press is very cool. And a huge thanks again to Scott for this hookup. Very cool of him to do. I still cannot thank him enough for this. And like I said, this has been in a frame. It's been hanging up on my shelf or on my wall over here for 11 years, I guess now, for as long as I've had it. And definitely proud to own that test press. And I am not waiting for Nick to come back on screen. There he is with the test press.
Yeah, that's awesome. I discovered that when I went to his house years ago. I saw that on his shelf, and that was a pretty cool piece of artifacts there. It's a great split. It's the first time I ever heard of Agoraphobic. So, yeah, man.
And I love the fact that JR did the vocals on it. Like that. Yep.
That is J.R. Hayes, Mr. J.R., the founder of this show. Shout out to J.R.
Shout out to J.R. Vinyl Bang Hayes.
Hell yeah.
All right.
All righty. This next one that I got here, I believe I talked about this on the very first episode, but I don't know how many people are still watching or if there are more people watching now. There's nothing really labeled on here other than the catalog number, but this is a test press of Power Trip's Nightmare Logic. And if you're wondering where I got this from Riley Gale himself. Back in, I want to say the summer of 2018, it might have been. But yeah, I think it was the summer of 2018. I was negotiating with him to buy this because he was just, I guess he was strapped for cash or something. I don't know. But there's another person who I do know. I'm friends with this other guy on Instagram. And he was trying to get this record from him too. And I guess I offered him way too much for it that Riley couldn't say no to. And I should have asked him to sign it for me. He sent me a pin with it, like an enamel pin that's on the wall up here behind me. But you'll see it says November 8th, 2016. Catalog number 160370. I don't know if that's the catalog number for this album, but I've definitely spun it a few times, and it's the real deal. This is a great album. I have many pressings of this. I have some very rare ones, but to have this in my collection, like I said, this came from Riley himself. Rest in peace, Riley. He passed away in I believe the summer of 2020. I think Blake was the first person I reached out to because I think Blake was friends with him, but Yeah, it sucks. Riley was very young and still had a lot of life left in him, and probably a lot of more Power Trip albums to come. But yeah, this was his copy. I'm very honored to own this, and yeah, Power Trip. Nightmare Logic was one hell of a fucking album. Came out in March of 2017, I believe. And like I said, I have many pressings of it. That's just one of them. That's the rarest of them all. But
Sure.
and like I said, to come from Riley himself, that was a pretty treasured item to have there. So I really don't want to get rid of that one.
No.
If I do, it's not going to be cheap. So
that's very cool, man.
No,
very cool indeed.
It was good to know him. He was a good guy. So, like, fun band, really good live band.
I've seen them a couple of times, and they are fun. Yeah, they with Riley, they were fun live, and they're doing stuff again, right?
I believe so. So, yeah. I can't wait for that.
Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool. All right, so my last set of albums for this. Yeah, this is the last band. The last band I'm going to feature in this episode, I'm going to start off with a test press that I never even knew existed until a couple of years ago. A member of the band hit me up and said, "Hey, do you have this on test press?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, you do now." Cephalic Carnage. This is the original Willow Tip pressing of Conforming to Abnormality. I have no idea how many of these exist. I don't know. But yeah, this is an actual legit test press of Conforming to Abnormality, which is really fucking cool to own. Upon doing or trying to find information about this on Discogs, I found out that there is a pressing that I was never aware of and is not available to buy, but I will keep an eye out like a hawk to own this pressing of this album because I never knew it existed. But yeah. So, Conforming to Abnormality, the next album I'm going to feature, there were 50 of these pressed in 2002. Lucid Interval. Lucid Interval. This, I believe, came from the same place that I'm going to show the next two Cephalic Carnage test presses because it looks like it's set up the exact same way. It's got a picture of the album cover here, and it's in the same kind of setup. But yeah, there were 50 of these pressed by Relapse Records in 2002. Like I said earlier with the Mastodon, that's why I believe there were actually 50 because it's just the same time frame and whatever. So 50 just sounds like a good number. Lucid Interval test press. Up next from Cephalic Carnage, Anomalies. Anomalies. There is no bad Cephalic Carnage album, but damn, this is a good album. I love Anomalies. I love Lucid Interval as well. This one, it just kind of hits a little different. It starts off with Scientific Remote Viewing, which also features Travis Ryan of Cattle Decapitation, does vocals on this. There's vocals from a bunch of other people too on this album, and I can't remember who else. Barney's on it. I forget who else without going back and doing actual research to make sure I don't screw anything up. But yeah, this is another album that I own every copy of because of the test press, along with Lucid Interval. I own every copy of that. And last but not least, from Cephalic Carnage, is the last album they did in 2010, 14 years ago. Guys, Cephalic Carnage, it's time to write a new one. Don't you think? Yeah, maybe write a new one. Okay. Misled by Certainty. Again, I do not know how many copies of this test press exist, but several of these came up from Sit and Spin Records. Also in Philadelphia, they're getting a lot of publicity today, a lot of free press. Sit and Spin Records in Philadelphia. Go check them out. 14 years ago, Misled by Certainty. Very excited to own this on vinyl. They only did beside the clear that they did for Relapse, they only did one pressing of this on orange vinyl. So they did the orange pressing, the clear, and then the test press. And again, this is another one that I own every copy of because there's only 3 copies on vinyl. So very excited to have all of these Cephalic Carnage test presses. There's only one that I don't own. I do not own Xenosapien, and it angers me to no end. So if any of you out there watching have a Xenosapien test press, hit me up. Let's discuss me getting a copy of Xenosapien on test press because I need to have it.
Send it his way.
Yeah.
Fulton, Missouri. There's probably a couple other test presses. You don't have the what's it call it?
Exploiting dysfunction.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a test press of that because it's a picture disc. So
I had to, yeah, I would have had to have been.
But since we're going there, my final contribution is a test press that I have no labels for. The only reason that I know this is real is because the person who gave it to me, and I've spun it a couple times. This is Dying Fetus's Purification Through Violence, and this is a picture disc test press. You can see it's blank. There's a blue line through the center with a little X right there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that indicates. It's on both sides, actually. But Jason gave this to me a couple years ago. It was just, he has records that he doesn't have any attachment to, and I guess I'm a nice enough guy that people just give me free rare shit like this. I reached out to the label. I don't remember who put it out quite, but I did some research and looked it up on Discogs, and reached out to the guys who run the label, and they said to me, I think they said there was only like 5 copies, but they said you must know Jason or John because not too many people own this. And I said, yeah, Jason gave this to me. So yeah. Dying Fetus, Purification Through Violence. I thought this was their first album, but I guess they consider like Bathe in Trails demo and everything else before that an album. But this was, I thought, their first full length. But yeah, this is my final test press that I got. It's a blank white vinyl, but that's if they're doing picture disc test press. Sometimes they do it like that. Sometimes they don't. Right.
I don't know. I've never seen a picture disc test press until you had started showing your stuff up on here.
Yeah, the other one I have is the Beastie Boys one that's blank like that. But then I also have that Pig Destroyer test press of the picture disc, but it's not on like a blank white picture disc. They test pressed it on a normal test press vinyl. So yeah. Fun episode. Cool. I feel like we rifled through that one because we didn't do our research, but still, I mean, some of these were numbered, some of these weren't. Some of these I know for a fact I can't list in my Discogs because people just haven't.
Yeah, they're not there.
Made a tab for it, and I don't want to do that.
No, I don't want to. That's a lot of work. I've done a couple. Like I've entered a couple albums in throughout the years, and it's a tedious process. I got way more important stuff to do, like
yeah,
playing Nintendo or something. I don't know. I just don't want to screw something up, and So,
anywho, do you have some new records you want to share with us this week, Jeff?
Yeah, I got a couple. I'll run through real quick. First off, a couple of days ago, last week, I went to Indianapolis to see Mr. Bungle on Wednesday, and then the Violent Femmes on Thursday. While I was in Indianapolis, I hit up a couple different record stores to kill time after I checked out of the hotel room before the show, and I went to, I believe it's called Venus Records, and finally got a copy of Deftones Around the Fur on vinyl. So pretty excited to finally have a copy of this album from my childhood on vinyl. Such an inspirational album from whenever I was in the band that I had mentioned a couple episodes back. Finally excited to have a copy of that on vinyl. And today in the mail, my one and only copy of the very, very newly issued on vinyl, The Red Chord Fused Together Through Revolving Doors. This copy came in today. I have not had a chance to listen to it because as soon as the copy showed up, I ate lunch with my wife and then now we're doing the episode. So I haven't really had a chance to listen to this yet, but I did get it out and put it in the sleeve. And my God, what an awesome looking copy! This pressing is awesome. I think this is clear with smoke or something. I don't even remember what this was called, but this pressing is the camera quality does not do this thing justice at all. This is a great looking copy. Very excited to get this on the turntable probably later today to give this a spin. But yeah, I'm excited to have this album on vinyl. They did what, like 6 or 7 different pressings of it?
Yeah, about 6, because I got 5 out of the 6.
Yeah,
I got 2 of them sitting right next to me, but I want to wait till the rest of them come before I share them all.
Right. Yeah, I love the Red Chord. I love this album, but I'm only getting the 1 copy on vinyl. Nothing against the Red Chord. Love these guys. But yeah, just the 1 copy. I'm very excited to have this on vinyl, and hopefully this is a continuing thing with the Red Chord. You know, they'll keep doing reissuing their albums on vinyl and continuing with clients.
Definitely, yeah. I'll be excited for clients and
Make that happen.
Pray for eyes. So, hell yeah. All right, I got a couple things here I want to share real quick. I got these off of the shelf of a friend. I'm not going to mention who. I don't want to go there, but first thing I got was a Pestilence Consuming Impulse. This is a 27 pressing, and man, this shit looks awesome. Look at that. Pretty nice splatter. It looks yellow and black to me, but it's labeled as something else on the Discogs. But
oh yeah, it looks great.
This is a great album, probably the best album by Pestilence, featuring Martin Van Druin of now Asphyx on vocals. But yeah, quite a great album there. Another thing that I grabbed off my buddy's shelf here was Agoraphobic Nosebleed Honky Reduction. This is an OG pressing from RSR, but it's licensed through Relapse, if you can see there. Yeah, pretty cool album to own. I do not own a copy of that until now. And then I also got an OG pressing of Agoraphobic Nosebleed and Converge's Poacher Diaries, which Jeff talked about the test pressing. This came from that label, Hydra Head. This is in the Relapse repress. So cool artwork by Derek Hess there on the front. The Poacher Diaries. This is a great album. Really good split. Probably one of my favorite splits ever done. But
agreed.
Yeah. Got some neat stuff recently. Like I said, I do have some Red Chord stuff that came in, but I'm going to share them all once they're all here together, like a nice happy family. So
yeah, I got a few here too, but I'm gonna get into them later.
Yeah,
wait for other copies to show up. Just a little sneak peek. Of something from a future episode. Got a lot more of those pressings coming in, and my wife is very excited about this. This is going to be a conversation as soon as we get off this episode. I'm probably going to have a very detailed conversation about exactly how many copies of Phantom does he have coming in. But yeah, I'm excited about those. Excited to have them on.
Holy shit. Well, what a good way to segue out of here. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching this episode. This was a fun one. This was a hard one to do because, like we said, a lot of these weren't available with information, but we worked with what we got. But these are definitely some really rare items from our collection that we wanted to share with everybody today.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, to those of you who have been following the show and watch us every week, we appreciate it. Appreciate the support. If you have ideas for topics, or if you're somebody on the show that wants to be a guest, or if you know somebody that would like to be a guest on our show, bring it on. Come on, let's do it. We love having special guests. You know,
we're still waiting for that to hear back from Taylor Swift. So,
fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you again for listening and watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep. See you guys.